Hey, does your coolant look like this and not like this? Or does your radiator look like this? Well, stay tuned guys, because I'm going to show you how to change your radiator and your coolant on your FZJ80 or FJ80 Toyota Land Cruiser.
So to start your process, you want to open your engine hood and begin to drain the coolant from the radiator petcock. I had to use some pliers to loosen up mine, but once you get it loose, let it drain out. To also speed up the process, remove your radiator cap. And I also sped up the process a little faster by also removing the thermostat as well to ensure that we got as much of this old coolant out of the block as possible. This is not necessary, but it does help. Now, flushing your coolant on time, as the manufacturer recommends, is very important to help ensure the longevity of your engine. This can help prevent overheating and other issues that you do not want to have. Now, we're using a water hose right now to help flush out the old coolant right now. Make sure as you're flushing the coolant, you're also capturing it as well. This is still a toxic stuff as well, so do your part for the environment. And like you see right now, we're capturing this in a 5-gallon bucket. This helps keep up all our waste. And you're able to dispose of this at your local auto parts store as well. Now, we back flushed it on both directions, so pushed it out through the thermostat housing and then went the other way as well to help really get as much of this old coolant out as possible. This radiator is old, and actually we did discover later, which is why we replaced it, that even after doing the engine flush, it was not clean enough. And then we did this engine flush on this vehicle 2 times to help see if it can help clear it out. But replacing the radiator sometimes is a necessary step to ensure a good cooling system. After you've drained all the coolant, go ahead and re-secure the petcock on the bottom of your radiator and plug in back any hoses you may have disconnected to ensure that the system does not leak. Now go ahead and insert your coolant funnel. We're using the Blue Devil Radiator Flush, not a sponsor yet, but this should help us clear out our engine block and cooling system on this vehicle to help ensure that we get as much of that old, crusty, dusty corrosion out of the block and get a good coolant in the system. Again, I know we're using tap water to help do this flush. You could use coolant as well. We're going to charge a few bucks. So we're doing this way to help out. So after you've also added all the fluid, you're going to put in the engine for a little while. Now, Blue Devil says you can also drive the vehicle, which is what we end up doing. We didn't catch that, but run the vehicle for a few miles around town at moderate speeds does also get this guy to be much cleaner as well. But you want to burp the system so you don't have too much air left in there. So this helps out. Again, once you're done, you can put the excess in your reservoir and go drive. Now, after we did all that, we came back home, we let the engine cool off, and then we began our cool down procedure and started removing our old radiator. Now, this is not necessary if you just want to do a flush. You can stop right here, but replacing the radiator in this situation really did make a big difference for this vehicle. Climbing hills now is a lot easier. This engine stays comfortable the whole time. But go ahead and remove all the hoses. You can see up top right here. Being very gentle to break the seal on some of them so they come off gently. Even though we're replacing it, you still want to still be gentle in the process. Again, this is also the time, if you are going to replace your radiator, to replace all your coolant hoses as well, since the system will be open. Now, replacing the fan clutch is a little tricky. Now, I recommend you can use a pry bar and open-ended box wrenches at 12mm to loosen it up. My trick is I leave the tension still on the alternator belt, so that way you can still remove these 4 bolts, and it helps give you a little bit more tension so you're not spinning constantly and you're trying to fight it the whole time to take off these 4 bolts. So with that in mind, I got these all off. You can see there, take your time, use a magnetic pan so you do not lose any bolts. Then once they're all out, You can then start undoing the shroud. It's only 2 bolts and it just comes right out. So, but you have to take the fan and the shroud out at the same time. Now bear in mind for the shroud, it is partially obscured by the battery box tray, but just take your time. Use 2 hands on the radiator fan clutch as well. This will help ensure that this guy comes out easily as possible. Once they're both loose, you get the shimmy and shake and grab both and come out. Then go ahead and remove your lower radiator hoses and eventually your transmission cooler hoses right here. This helps make your process come out a lot easier. Again, now right here in this step, what I'm doing is I'm drilling a hole in the battery tray. If you do not have a hole, it really does help out. It'll make sense in a little bit. Now this step with me removing the lights is not necessary, but it does help. It makes it easier. You can also accomplish this step with the swivel socket, which I do not have today. That's why I opted to remove the headlights. And you'll see right now why a swivel socket would be beneficial during this part of the repair. But you do not need to remove this. This is just for my personal preference. All I just did was unbolt them and move them gently aside. But you see right there, the bolt is partially obscured by the AC condenser. Again, you want to remove the trans-cooler hoses as well at this point. That way, everything comes out that much smoother. And it really does make it a lot easier for you when you are out here working on this vehicle. So, once all that stuff's undone, you go ahead and start unbolting your side bolts on both sides of the radiator. You see right here on this one where that hole was at. It really does make it easier with a lot of extensions. And then right here in the front, corresponding to the driver's side of the vehicle, you can then undo that 12 as well. And this 12 really does help if you do have a swivel. Really, I forgot to bring one from work to say. Also, safety guys, when you guys are removing this radiator, especially if you have a lifted vehicle like mine where I'm kneeling on the bumper, near-death experiences almost happen.
That's why I have a step stool. That was on me.
There's no step stool.
You're on the step stool. Okay, your husband almost died and didn't pay the life insurance.
What?
Oh, God.
So after you successfully avoided death, you can now then check on your new radiator and compare it with the old radiator. Now you are going to have to swap over some components, but it's mainly just these 2 mounting brackets on the side and 2 rubber isolators that are on the inside as well. Now, a good thing to know about these rubber insulators, you can still get new replacements to this day. So if they are hard as a rock or if they are missing completely sometimes, you can go ahead and order them again from Toyota. It really does help out that they do still carry these parts in stock. Also, another note, be careful on these. Sometimes they do overspray the nuts on the end. So you will have to maybe sometimes have a bit of a harder time getting those to mount on. Now the radiator slides in. It's a little bit of shimmying and shaking around the battery tray. But once you have that there, it goes in very smooth. You can then go ahead and start putting in your top bolt for the radiator on both sides. Now these make it a lot easier for you, so take your time. And then you go ahead and line up the side mounts as well for your radiator. Then reinstall your bolts. Now you may have to use your hand to help hold the back half of that other bolt. And then you guys can go ahead and go to town and tighten them up. Alright. Then re-secure your headlights if you did remove them. If you didn't, then you can skip this step completely. This is only just to make it a little bit faster. This is one of my little tech tips I give. Not necessary for this repair at all, but it helps. So you just want to go ahead and reinstall all your hoses, and if you have new ones at this point, this is a good time to replace them. As also as replacing your fan clutch or servicing it as well is a good time at this time. But once you have it all, you're then gently reinstall both. Again, with the fan clutch and the shroud, there is a little bit of shimmy and shaking, especially with the shroud around the battery box. And then I still left the tension on the alternator tensioner. You don't have to do it. You can re-loosen it I prefer to leave it a little tight just so it has some kind of feedback on this. Again, not necessary, but it helps. So when you're retightening, take your time with these ones. Do not strip out a bolt. But you also see my technique where I leave the tension on there as well, so that way it does not slide around and keep spinning, because this is the tension to the water pump, and it will keep spinning every time you spin it if it's not under tension. But a good way to also leave when you leave under tension is that you can still feel when it grabs and it's fully tightened on all 4 nuts. Go ahead and re-secure your shroud, then reinstall your upper hoses, and don't forget to put your clips on there. If you have new clamps, install them now. Don't forget to wash out your reservoir if it is full of rust like mine was. So this helps out a lot. Go ahead and reinstall your grill cover as well. Man, this looks really good, guys. Then you get to do some of the best part, reinstalling all the stuff on the bottom. So now you get to lay in the coolant. But if you're a little smarter than I am, yeah, make sure you have a creeper or something else on standby. And then you want to go ahead and install your coolant funnel. You can pick these up on Amazon, guys. These are a lifesaver. They're great for multiple vehicles, so it's not just your Land Cruiser, but any type of vehicle you have, from Jeeps, Ford, Chrysler, anything out there, guys. It works for all of them. Now we're going to use concentrate on this one. You should use Toyota Red concentrate, I recommend, guys, with distilled water. So we are going to go ahead and do a 60-40 mix on this one for this time around. They do recommend 50-50, but since we know that we probably still have some residual left in the block even after we got as much of it out as possible, I do recommend just a little bit heavier mix on this one. And then another 30,000 miles or 60,000 depending on your interval, go ahead and do another flush. I might end up doing another flush again on this one, even though this is a brand new radiator, in probably the next 15,000 miles. And again, use distilled water, guys. This is the way to ensure that you are going to have a really good working coolant system. Now, at this point, guys, you need to run the engine for a period of time till you bleed out all the bubbles in the system till they stop coming out. And that could take quite a while with these Land Cruisers. These are about 4 gallons for the whole system. But once you do that, you will be set, guys. So don't rush this process. Take your time, think of safety, and make sure you have fun while you're doing it.
Alright guys, so there you have it. That's the steps you guys need to do to help maintain a good cooling system for your Toyota Land Cruiser. If you like this content and want to see more like it, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share with friends, share with family. And remember guys, at 1 Road, you can't go wrong with that.